one of the more interesting things is realizing that you got to stick with something for a long time and do something that people don't believe in, that it's illegitimate, that everybody thinks is a stupid idea, and you got to get up and do it. And when you're doing it, it never feels like you're doing the right thing. It feels kind of stupid, and yet you still get up and you do it for whatever reason, even though everybody discounts it. But then, after you do it for a long enough time, then people recognize it. And it's kind of an interesting phenomenon. So I went to an academic conference. Actually, I just got back late last night. And the interesting thing is, I've been doing this YouTube show, and podcasts and all the sort of social media stuff. Just give people encouragement, and it's interesting because not only do you get a little smiles, I've actually bumped into some very serious academics, and they acknowledge it now. And I don't think they would have acknowledged it years ago. And it's interesting. I'm starting to feel less insecure about it, because it is an unusual thing in academia. But I also think that there's a really important need for it, to not only just in academia, but the world, right? If you're innovating or doing something new, just having encouragement that you're doing the right thing, I think is important. And for those of you who are doing this, or doing something that stands out, or you feel it stands out, just stick with it. I think that sticking with it, despite the fact that it seems, it doesn't feel good, and you don't want to, right? Like, there's a lot of days I don't want to do this, but I get up and I do it anyways. Like most days, right? It requires me to expend energy, and I could just kind of go about my merry old way, but which would be normal, right? But instead, I'm speaking out and giving you encouragement and trying to, just tell you that you're normal, with all of these emotions that you get. And I think, no matter what profession you're in, we all do things like that are a little sideways. And the important thing is that you recognize where the future is going, right? Like, if you're actually paying attention to this, you're listening to what I'm saying, you likely recognize where the future is going, and you are not jiving with the future, right? And it's the fact that that's okay, or you're not jiving with the present, and that's okay, right? You don't have to jive with the present, and you can do your thing, and that's actually really good to do those things where you don't have to fit in, because you're seeing where things are going. I think that's an important part of sorry, I got hiccups. Everything that we actually do is that if we're doing something that's innovative, that's different, that doesn't exist, then of course it is going to be hard to do, and of course the current environment doesn't recognize it, right? So innovation is sort of going towards where the puck is actually going, right? So like Wayne Gretzky saying, Wayne Gretzky was this famous hockey player, and he would say he doesn't skate to where the puck is, he skates to where the puck is going. And that's what you have to think about, is where are you going? What's, the next step? And when you do that, you're going to be out of sync with everybody else. And that's okay, right? That's where people will, say things and look at you sideways and all of that stuff is okay. That's where you just keep doing your thing and you keep walking forward and know that there is a lot of people that won't support it, but that's okay, right? Like, you're going to where the world is, and I want you to sort of realize that, take a moment and really think about what it means if you're going to do anything that's innovative. People don't like you, right? Like, in the moment, people don't like you, but in the long run, you get to where you need to go, and then what ends up happening is that people that you don't recognize, or like not recognize, like you wouldn't expect, kind of come out of the woodwork, and then they start, just saying, giving you encouragement, things like that. And I just want you to know, for you, just if you are out of sync with your environment, just, keep going. Be yourself. The more that you think that this is a good thing, and yet the rest of the world doesn't see it, that's okay. One of the things I think about is like those people that you used to see, so tattoos, for example, right? Like, people would come out with tattoos 10 years ago, and it was like, oh, I don't know about that. But now tattoos are everywhere. It's actually kind of part of culture. And if you don't accept them, you're kind of out of sync now. I don't have tattoos. I don't really care for them, but they're not as stigmatized as they were, right? So think about that kind of stuff. You were in the forerunning position at that moment, and you're out of sync. So I think that is an important thing to remember, is good morning, is that it's okay to be out of sync in the current moment if you're going to some place in the future that you're working towards. And I mean really working towards it. And that's the important thing. Just keep working towards it, right? It's okay if you're out of sync doing something, just as long as you keep working towards it and taking it seriously. That's important. That's all I want to say, is keep going and take those steps even when you don't feel like it and it feels like you're out of sync. All right, take care.